Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. And today we're tackling something that I think might hit pretty close to home for a lot of you folks out there. The financial struggles so many social workers face and how those struggles actually feed into burnout. I mean, we hear a lot about long hours and tough cases burning people out, but what about the hidden stress of just trying to make ends meet?
Yeah, and what's really interesting is the connection, between personal finances and how well you're doing professionally, especially in social work. There's this idea that financial instability only affects low-income populations, but debt and money worries, they impact everyone, even people with lots of education and good jobs.
And the numbers really show that, don't they? I mean,
Hmm.
over 80% of social workers with bachelor's and master's degrees and over 65% with the doctorates are carrying an average of $31,000 to $42,000 in debt. That's actually higher than the average for a ton of other professions.
It is, and it's really important to keep in mind that those are just averages. A lot of social workers are dealing with way more debt than that, so it's not surprising that financial anxiety is so common in this field.
It really shows the kind of the paradox of this helping profession, right?
Yeah.
Social workers spend their lives helping other people, but they're often dealing with some serious financial challenges themselves.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to support their clients while they're battling their own money stress.
Exactly. And think about what that does to you emotionally. If you're constantly worried about paying your bills, how can you really be there for your clients?
So how do we even start to address this? Where do we begin?
Well, the first thing is understanding what we mean by financial capability. It's not just about having money, it's about knowing how to manage it well, having the skills and resources to make your money work for you. This is crucial for the clients social workers serve, but also for social workers themselves.
I see what you mean. Like if a social worker is helping someone find housing while they're struggling to pay their own rent, that adds a whole other layer to the situation, right? Their empathy, their advice, it's all coming from their own financial struggles.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding the role money plays in our lives is so important. Obviously, money covers our basic needs, housing, food, healthcare, but it also impacts our emotional well-being and our ability to plan for the future.
It's not just about paying the bills, it's about the relationship we have with money, how it makes us feel, the choices we make because of it, the anxiety it can cause.
Right. It's about recognizing if you have a healthy or unhealthy relationship with money. And that's not always about how much money you have. It's more about your attitude towards money, your spending habits, and the emotions you associate with it.
This is making me think, like if you grew up in a home where money was always a source of stress and arguments, you might carry that fear around with you, even if you're earning a decent living as an adult.
You've hit on something really important there. The way we experience money early on can shape our financial behaviors for years. And sometimes we don't even realize it. We could be repeating those same patterns in our adult lives without even knowing it. And that's where things can get really complicated.
So for social workers who are so focused on helping others, how do they start to see those patterns in themselves, especially if they're not paying attention to their own financial well-being?
A good place to start is by identifying your spending triggers. Those things that make you want to spend money, even when you know you shouldn't. It could be anything, emotional spending, social pressure, even just walking by your favorite store. We all have them. The key is to become aware of yours.
Oh yeah, I totally get that. Bookstore sale, my
Yeah.
willpower goes right out the window. But I'm guessing there are some triggers that are especially common among social workers because of the work they do.
Yeah, that's right. Think about it. Social workers are constantly dealing with really intense emotional situations, long hours, and the pressure to help people is huge. It makes sense that some would turn to things like retail therapy or comfort spending to deal with the stress.
It's almost like they're pouring so much of themselves into their work that they forget to take care of their own emotional needs. And sometimes they try to fill that void with buying something new or treating themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is those quick fixes just end up causing more financial stress in the long run, which then makes the burnout worse.
You keep mentioning this burnout cycle. I'd love to hear more about that and how financial stress fits into it.
Well, burnout happens gradually. It usually goes through 5 stages. The honeymoon phase, then you start feeling some stress. That stress becomes chronic, then you hit burnout, and eventually it's like burnout becomes a habit.
So it's not like you wake up one day and bam, you're completely burned out. It sneaks up on you.
Exactly. And financial stress can play a part at every stage. Like someone who's just starting out, super excited about their new job, they might get hit with those student loan payments and realize Their salary isn't going as far as they thought.
Yeah, that'll take the excitement out of a new job pretty fast.
For sure. And as that stress continues, you might feel chronically tired, irritable, you can't focus. It can even affect your relationships and lead to unhealthy ways of coping. Remember that story I told you about calling out sick every Monday?
Oh, yeah. You were so stressed you didn't even realize you were doing that.
It's a perfect example of how chronic stress can show up in ways you don't expect. And for me, a lot of that stress was about money. I was working multiple jobs just to make ends meet, and it was wearing me down, both physically and mentally.
It just goes to show that we all have our limits. Even the most dedicated, compassionate people need to take care of themselves, and that includes their finances.
I couldn't agree more. And part of taking care of yourself is recognizing those self-sabotaging behaviors that make the financial stress and burnout worse.
Okay, let's talk more about self-sabotage. What are some common self-sabotaging things people do with their money, and how can social workers break those habits?
Some of the big ones are impulse spending, ignoring bills and financial statements, even working too much to avoid dealing with your personal finances.
Right, I can see how all of those things would actually create more financial stress over time. It's like getting a short-term fix that causes long-term pain.
Exactly. It becomes this vicious cycle. And the first step to breaking free is being honest with yourself about those behaviors and figuring out why you're doing them. A lot of times there are deeper emotional needs driving those unhealthy money habits.
That's so important. It's not enough to just say, okay, I got to stop spending so much. You need to understand why you're spending like that. What are you really hoping to gain or avoid with those behaviors?
Exactly. Once you understand the why, you can start developing healthier ways to cope and manage your finances.
So what are some concrete steps social workers can take to improve their financial well-being? Like, if someone's listening to this and realizing they need to make some changes, where do they even start?
One of the best tools is setting SMART goals.
Oh, I've heard of SMART goals, but never thought to use them for my finances. Tell me more about that.
SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And when you apply that to your finances, it could mean setting specific goals for things like budgeting, paying off debt, or saving for something specific.
So instead of just saying, I need to save more money, you'd say something like, I'm going to save $50 a week for the next 6 months to build an emergency fund.
Perfect example. By making your goal specific and giving yourself a deadline, you're way more likely to succeed. And don't forget to celebrate those small wins along the way. That'll keep you motivated and show you that you're making progress.
Yeah, those small wins, they really help you keep going, you know? It's like those mile markers you see when you're running a marathon. You don't just focus on the finish line, you use each marker to stay motivated. That's a great way to think about it. And speaking of motivation, you've talked about this idea of a personal money mission statement before. What exactly is that?
It's basically a short, powerful statement that sums up your values and goals when it comes to money, like a guiding principle, a compass to help you make smart choices about how you earn, spend, and manage your money.
So it's like a personal motto for your financial life.
Yeah, exactly. And the act of actually writing it down and looking at it regularly, it helps you become more self-aware and stay committed to your goals.
I really like that idea. It's like creating this framework for how you want to interact with money and what you want it to do for you in your life. But before we go too far down that road, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. The ethical side of things for social workers when it comes to their own finances.
That's a really important point. You know, social workers have these ethical obligations to their clients, their profession, and their organization, but they also have an ethical obligation to themselves.
It's like the oxygen mask on a plane. You got to put your own mask on first before you can help anyone else.
Exactly. If a social worker is burned out and stressed about money, it's going to affect their ability to do their job well and provide ethical care to their clients. How they're doing personally is directly connected to the quality of care they can give.
So taking care of their own financial health is also a way to protect their clients' well-being, right? It's realizing that self-care isn't selfish. It's actually essential for being a good social worker in the long run.
That's it. And part of that self-care is setting boundaries, learning to manage stress, and being proactive about dealing with financial challenges before they lead to burnout.
This conversation has been so helpful. I feel like we've really uncovered a whole new way of thinking about social worker burnout. We've talked about the statistics, the emotional toll, the stages of burnout, and the ways we can sabotage ourselves. But before we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will remember?
Well, the biggest one is that financial well-being is a crucial part of overall well-being, especially for people in helping professions like social work. It's not about being rich. It's about feeling secure, empowered, and in control of your money.
Having that sense of security and empowerment can make a huge difference, not just in your personal life, but also in your ability to really be there for your clients and give them the best of yourself.
You got it. And just as important is remembering that asking for help with your finances isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a really smart and proactive step towards feeling more empowered and making positive changes. It takes courage and self-awareness to reach out for support.
And to everyone listening out there, remember that you deserve to feel financially secure, just like your clients do. Be kind to yourself, recognize your triggers, and celebrate those wins, even the little ones. As we always say here on The Deep Dive, keep exploring. There are resources out there to help you work through these challenges and build a brighter financial future for yourself.
And one of the most powerful things you can do is change your mindset from I have to I choose to when it comes to managing your money.
That's interesting. I could see how that small change in perspective could make a huge difference in how you approach financial decisions. Instead of feeling burdened by budgeting or paying off debt, you're making a conscious choice to invest in your own well-being. It's about taking back control.
Exactly. And that feeling of empowerment can spill over into other areas of your life, too.
It really reinforces the idea that it's not just about the money itself, but how we think and feel about it. Our relationship with money can either lift us up or hold us back.
You said it. It's a journey, not a destination. And there will be times when you slip up, especially when you're dealing with unexpected challenges or just feeling extra stressed.
It's like learning any new skill, right?
Yeah.
There are going to be ups and downs. Be patient with yourself and keep practicing.
Exactly. And like with any skill, having someone to guide you and support you along the way can be super helpful. Someone to offer advice, encouragement, and keep you accountable.
That's where resources like financial coaches, counselors, or therapists can really make a difference. They can help you figure out what works best for you and create healthier habits.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of connecting with other people who get it. Finding other social workers who are also working on their financial well-being can give you a sense of community and support, so you know you're not alone in this.
It's like having a workout buddy. You're more likely to stay motivated and on track when you've got someone to share the journey with, someone who understands the challenges you're facing.
That's it. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are people and resources out there to help you every step of the way.
I love that message of hope and support. It's so important to remember that even though financial struggles can feel really isolating, there is help out there, and asking for it is a sign of strength.
Absolutely. And by taking care of your own financial well-being, you're not just investing in yourself, you're investing in your ability to help others. You're filling your own cup so you can better serve those who depend on you.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this complex topic, but I'm already feeling more informed and empowered to make positive changes in my own life and to advocate for changes that support the financial well-being of all social workers.
I'm so glad to hear that. Remember, even small steps can make a big difference over time. Consistency is key.
Before we move on to our final thoughts, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, financial toxicity. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and how it might show up for social workers?
Financial toxicity is basically what happens when financial stress gets so bad that it starts affecting every part of your life. It can lead to feeling totally exhausted, physically and emotionally. It can strain your relationships and even make you feel hopeless. It's like carrying this heavy weight around all the time.
So it's like financial stress on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. And for social workers, this could look like compassion fatigue, becoming more cynical, having trouble setting boundaries, and just not being able to provide the same quality of care anymore. Their own distress starts to spill over into their work and affect how they interact with clients.
That's a scary thought. It really shows how important it is to deal with financial stress before it gets to that point.
You got it. Prevention is key. And that means building healthy financial habits, asking for help when you need it, and pushing for workplaces that actually care about the financial well-being of their employees. We need to create a culture that recognizes that how we're doing personally affects how we do professionally.
I love that emphasis on creating a supportive work environment. It's a good reminder that this isn't just an individual problem. It's a systemic problem that organizations and policymakers need to pay attention to.
You're absolutely right. It's about fostering a culture of well-being that values financial health for everyone, including the people who dedicate their lives to helping others.
That's a really powerful message to end on. It's a call to action for all of us individuals, organizations, and society as a whole to make sure social workers have the financial support they need so they can keep doing this vital work without sacrificing their own well-being.
Yeah, it really is. It all starts with bringing this issue to light.
Exactly. Once people are aware of a problem, they can start doing something about it. And to all the social workers out there listening, you're not in this alone. There's help available, and you deserve to feel good about your finances, both personally and professionally.
That message of hope and support is so important. I think it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget to look at the bigger picture sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. That's why it's so crucial to take some time for yourself and reflect. I challenge every social worker listening to think about their own relationship with money. What are your personal money stories? What are your triggers? And what are some small steps you can take today to start feeling better about your finances? I love that challenge. It's such a great reminder that change starts with being aware of ourselves. And even just acknowledging those money stories and triggers is a big step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to try different things. There's no one right answer when it comes to money. It's about finding what works for you, it fits with your values and goals.
It's like finding the right pair of shoes. You might have to try on a few different styles before you find the ones that really fit and feel good.
I like that analogy. And just like with shoes, it's okay to switch things up as your needs change. What worked a year ago might not work for you today. Be flexible and open to trying new things.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We've covered so much ground, but I'm sure there's even more to explore. For our listeners who want to keep learning, where can they go to find more information and resources?
There are some amazing organizations out there doing really important work in the field of financial social work. The Financial Social Work website is a great place to start. They have tons of information, resources, and even a certification program for people who want to specialize in this area.
That's awesome. I'm also thinking about how helpful mentorship and peer support can be. Are there any online communities or groups where social workers can connect and share their experiences?
Definitely. There are tons of groups on Facebook and LinkedIn specifically for financial social work and financial well-being for people in helping professions. And a lot of professional organizations have online forums and discussion boards where members can connect and support each other.
Those are great resources.
Yeah.
I would also suggest reaching out to your local social work chapter or university. They often have workshops and training on financial literacy and financial well-being that are designed for social workers in your area.
That's a good point. There are a lot of local resources that people might not even know about, so it's worth doing some research and seeing what's available near you.
And for our listeners who are feeling overwhelmed or unsure where to start, remember that even a small step in the right direction is a win. Whether it's creating a basic budget, tracking your spending for a week, or just reading an article about financial self-care, every effort counts.
You're absolutely right. As they say, progress over perfection. Just focus on taking consistent action, even if it's just one small thing at a time.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are people and resources out there to help you every step of the way.
Exactly. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. And by taking care of your own financial well-being, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're also taking care of your ability to help others.
What a powerful message to end our deep dive into the financial struggles and burnout experienced by social workers. I hope this conversation has given you some new insights, challenged some assumptions, and most importantly, given you a sense of hope and empowerment. Remember, you deserve financial peace of mind, and when you take care of yourself, you're better able to make a difference in the lives of those you serve. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.